is finally time to look at a new video that has been posted by a big YouTuber recently, Mr. Linus Tech Tips himself, and Elijah and Luke on the team of Linus Tech Tips. They decided to try Linux again as another challenge, and as you can see, there is now a video of this, and we are going to be reacting to the whole experience with Elijah, Luke, and Linus himself trying out Linux again and seeing how they go with it. Alright, so let's just get right into it, start watching it, and we'll start reacting.
Opt out, Windows update, you will own nothing and be happy.
Classic.
Oh, thank goodness it was just a dream. For a second there, I thought Windows really was getting worse.
It wasn't bad. Sorry, I was just scared for my privacy. I didn't want to sleep in my own bed anymore.
What are you doing here?
I heard that Linus was going to save us.
Linux, Elijah, not Linus.
I mean, kind
He
of.
does have a valid concern though. With Microsoft adding more and more bloat that negatively impacts the user experience and user privacy on Windows, more people than ever are asking themselves, what can I do? Well, there's those Windows debloating scripts, but those aren't quite the silver bullet that they're made out to be. And there is Mac, but that's not a great solution for gamers. That is where Linux comes in. As the rest of the world enshittifies, thanks to the incredible open source community and corporate sponsors like Valve, Linux just keeps getting better. And I think
it's not wrong there.
Time that I try once again to make the switch. And he's joining me. Hey, Elijah, wake up, let's go.
What? But tons of games I play don't work on Linux.
Sure, but there's thousands of titles that do work. And besides, it's only a month. That is unless you discover that you love it so much, you don't even want to play Fortnite anymore. Maybe the only 90s you'll want to crank are these 90-degree segues to our sponsor.
Oh, to your sponsor. What is the sponsor?
They build enterprise-level networks
Weeto.
from the ground up and design and manufacture their own hardware to boot. If you're looking for a reliable, scalable networking across a multi-site enterprise environment, Meter might be a great fit for you. Click our link in the
It's
video
not a great fit for me, sorry.
today.
But, you know, I watched the sponsor. Alright, let's go back with the intro.
Fixing that open.
Alright.
The first and possibly biggest hurdle when it comes to embracing that open source life is the overwhelming number of options. Now, for some folks, the idea of having so many choices, each catering to a specific user or use case, is amazing. And it is, especially if you love to tinker. But for everyone else, choice paralysis is a real thing. And with literally dozens of viable options for Linux distros, not to mention the social pressure that comes from picking the wrong one, it can be a major turnoff. Last time we did this, over 4 years ago, I called out how terrible.
That's crazy. 4 years ago it's been since the last challenge.
So did many
Wow.
others in the Linux community. And right out of the gate, I would
These are just terrible options. I don't expect much from this article.
Let's have a look and see if they've improved. Oh, XDA's article is from less than a month ago though. And of course, the very first one is one I haven't even heard of. Nobara Linux, built on Fedora, quality of life tweaks, controller support out of the box, Pop OS, Door is on here.
You've tried that one before, haven't you, Linus?
OpenSUSE Tumbleweed, Cachy OS, this I've heard of, Endeavor OS, Ubuntu. Good Lord, you've hardly narrowed it down, bud. Fedora KDE. Straight up, that's it. No pros and cons of anything else, just go for it. Unless you're going handheld, then Bazite. I'd really like a distro I can use across all my devices though, so that's AMD, NVIDIA, handheld, and desktop. We'll see if that happens. Pop OS is the easiest. There's shockingly little overlap on these. I'm on my 4th article now, and 3 of the 6 options are ones that I haven't seen yet. Holo ISO, Garuda Linux, and Manjaro. Of course.
Yeah, I think before we go any further with Linus picking his distro, I think one of the things that he failed to do once again is picking a distro. I think reading articles is fine, but there is plenty of YouTube videos, Linus, that you could have gone and watched to pick a Linux distro. Myself, I have a even though it's a very long video, the very start of it, I would say, is me discussing which distro should you pick based on your hardware. And it's basically put, if you have the newest hardware, pick a upstream distro that is upstream first, meaning that it's going to get a lot of the newer updates, meaning that you're going to get a better experience, either it be the desktop environment, either it be graphics drivers, or any other type of drivers that go into the kernel. All of that stuff is really important for the newest hardware if you're going to be playing games. And I think it's not really that big of a problem, the distro that he picked, even though it's a little bit behind. It's on a Ubuntu base, it's a little bit behind. I think he should have still picked a distro that the other people picked in the video that you'll see, but that Elijah and Luke picked, because simply put, those distros are a lot better at doing those things when it comes to gaming, when it comes to supporting controllers, when it comes to supporting all types of other different types of drivers in those distros. It's just plain better. Well, let's continue.
So there's basically boomer behavior now. If I wanted to do my thing and I want to role play as a typical tech-interested gamer who's looking to make the switch, I gotta fire up ChatGPT and see what OpenAI has to say on the subject.
Yeah, that's great.
Say there?
Well, I'm giving it as much information as I feel it needs to give me a good recommendation. I want to make the switch to Linux. I have a variety of PCs, each with different needs, and ideally I could find a distro that works for all of them. Recommendation number 1, Pop! OS. Ubuntu LTS with game mode.
Did he enable the search function on the AI?
Recommendation if it doesn't know what hardware I'm using. Right there. Cons. You have to manually install drivers sometimes. Manjaro comes up again. Fedora starts giving me a whole how-to for some of the systems. Tips for smooth multi-machine use. Use a single desktop environment and the same one across different machines. Bottom line, Pop! OS. I don't know
So I think one problem that he found, once again, I would say, is when he's trying to use AI and he's trying to use ChatGPT, the ChatGPT model is learning off of data that is from probably a couple years ago. And so he's getting results that aren't necessarily the best for today, as he already knows Linux continues to get better, and that's because there is so many things changing at a fast rate. And so the options that ChatGPT gave wasn't really that great in my opinion. And if he enabled the search function on ChatGPT, I bet it would have shown a lot better results, because it would have searched the web, it would have searched Reddit, it would have searched all these different articles, and it would have come out with a better result that may have changed his decision. Anyways, let's continue, because he does pick his distro.
My approach was to go to Reddit, and I wanted to find someone that fit a similar profile as me, and I just basically searched for what got the most updates. But when I narrowed it down to gaming distros, there was really only a handful that were commonly recommended to me these days. Manjaro, Chimera
surprising.
OS, Cachy OS, Vazite, and pop!_OS. If your preferred flavor wasn't on that list, I promise it doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means that I didn't come across many recommendations for it. So let's talk about the pros and the cons of those 5.
Chimera OS is cool, but seems to prioritize being more of a console-like experience, which is not really what I'm going for. And the same goes for SteamOS. I mean, it's still the one that I think is most likely to usher in the year of the Linux desktop. And Valve has promised to continue chipping away at the desktop experience, but it's still very much big picture for
with the Steam machine. That will be
limited hardware support.
Be a little better.
A challenge for I don't know, 90% of desktop users, including my downstairs PC, which I'm also migrating this time to ensure that my immersion is complete.
For Manjaro and Cachy OS, both based on Arch by the way, Manjaro's been around for several years at this point, meaning there's tons of documentation online, or other independent YouTubers have made videos and guides. It would make
Manjaro's
getting
a
things
fine
working
choice.
nice and
It's not
easy.
going to have
Cachy
that
OS
big of a
is
problem.
relatively new. But because it's new, it kind of has the same thing. Tons of people are covering it and making guides online about using it. Both of those could be a bonus for helping me get through this month.
Like I mentioned before, Pop! OS screwed me over pretty good last time. Though, from my understanding, that was an insane bug that was present for less than 24 hours, and I just happened to run up against.
It's pretty crazy that you did meet a bug that I didn't even meet, and many others have made.
Ubuntu as a base, which can make it a little
Linus definitely has a curse.
and other resources.
Last but not least, there's Bazzite, which is explicitly gaming first and has gained serious momentum over its short 3-year history thanks to the baked-in support for HDR and variable refresh rate, easy integration with non-Steam launchers, and emulation-friendly features. It's based on Fedora, which doesn't
it does include VRR and HDR out of the box, but so does every other upstream distro that uses a desktop environment that includes those features, which the default on Bazzite is KDE Plasma. So KDE Plasma provides the VRR and the HDR support. Bazzite maybe is talking about the gaming mode in Steam because that has HDR and VRR as well with their Wayland compositor, but yeah, you choose any other distro like Fedora, or you choose Cachy, or you choose any other type of basically upstream distro. OpenSUSE Tumbleweed is another one. Nabara, Arch itself, Gentoo, Nix, Nix, yeah, a little bit, probably does have HDR and VRR, but all of those distros include those things. It's more just with those features like HDR, for example, that isn't complete necessarily. There's a couple things left that need to be upstreamed so then HDR is just automatically enabled and you can just automatically use it when playing games and stuff like that. But it's really close to being done. But again, what he said there, I mean, yes, based off Bazzite's website, that is correct, but every other distro also includes those features. But I digress, let's continue.
Have the same normie install base as Ubuntu, but it is still a major distro, meaning hopefully it shouldn't be too hard to find support again.
On the subject of
support, Fedora is a community distro, and it's the upstream distro of Red Hat Linux, or RHEL, pretty sure, yeah, Red Hat Linux, yeah. That is just basically just upstream of that. So you get a lot of support from Red Hat developers, and you get a lot of support from just the community itself of those developers or general users who use Fedora. It's a great distro. I used it for many years, and I had no problems with it, really. I was pretty content with using Fedora on KDE Plasma or even GNOME, and I had a perfectly fine time. It was actually quite boring that everything kind of just worked on my system, and that's why I'm using Cachy now, because things are just like a lot more quicker and faster, even though Fedora keeps up with Arch and Arch-based distros really close when it comes to drivers, kernel releases, desktop environment releases as well. They're like toe-to-toe now, basically. But anyways, let's continue.
There's no real reason that Elijah and I would have to figure any of this out on our own. We could easily use our industry contacts to get help with everything from choosing a distro to even getting a bug fix implemented in real time. But to me, that kind of ruins the spirit of the challenge. I mean, it's not like the average person would be able to contact Linus Torvalds for help recompiling the kernel, you know?
With all of that in mind,
but there is Reddit, there's the internet itself, there's my YouTube channel, there is literally so many other Linux YouTube channels that can help you with all types of different things with Linux. Yeah, like, it's not hard to grab technical support when it comes to Linux at all, but he does make a point. Sure, maybe the normie user who just wants an OS to work, I mean, they wouldn't even be installing Linux in the first place, because they'd probably be too scared to install Linux at all, because you have to manually install it unless you buy a computer that has it pre-installed, and that is far in between, I would say. There's some laptop companies in Europe that do provide Linux out of the box, and then there is System76 as well that provides Linux out of the box, so there are some options, but I don't think a normal user is going to be installing Linux per se yet, until it's like super easy to do so, even though it is really super easy to install now, basically. Maybe you may have minimal problems because you're just learning things, but yeah, today getting technical support on Linux, it's quite easy to do, and if you know how to open up a bug report or an issue on GitHub or GitLab, you can get the support that you need. But let's continue.
I'm going with Bazzite, specifically the KDE desktop environment. One, it's the cool new kid on the block. Two,
it's the cool kid?
Bazzite's documentation seems...
KDE Plasma is the cool kid on the block? Really? That's interesting. It's been around since like the 90s, but okay. let's continue.
Slightly easier to parse through, which for me is a huge W. And 3, while it might be a little bit more limiting than Cachy OS, which several people warned me about, those same people did tell me that it was a little bit easier for a first timer. I think I'm going to take that trade-off. Now, some of you may remember from my AMD upgrade 2 years ago, I actually installed Pop OS at the end. Spoiler alert, I haven't been using it. I had an issue with my Go XLR, and I spent way too long trying to figure it out that I ended up defaulting back to Windows 11. It's also worth mentioning
Pretty sure
that
these
I'm
devices
only
are
going
a
to be
lot
swapping
more
over my
improved
gaming
now
PC to Linux,
on Linux,
not my
so
streaming PC. I can't afford
used
to
to
have
be
any
a
issues with
headache.
that, and right now it just
maybe
works.
there still is some
And
headaches
besides,
with
all I
it,
hit is go live
with
anyways.
special
But who knows? If this goes well, maybe
but
I'll
it
be
should be a
considering
lot-
swapping that one over.
a lot better
I,
now.
on the other hand, will be converting all of my PCs, which means that I need something that's compatible with both GeForce and Radeon GPUs.
And every
I've been converting
distro
all of my
supports
PCs
that properly
to-
today.
Yeah, that's where the script ends. I have to actually decide now. I'm going with Pop OS. Just because it blew up on me once doesn't mean it'll blow up on me again. I'm gonna follow ChatGPT's recommendation here. I'm gonna start
Let's see how
with
that
one
goes.
machine, get
Surely
everything
nothing will
going
go
the way
wrong.
that I want it, and then assuming that that goes well, I'm gonna stick with Pop OS. Okay, so who nailed this? ChatGPT got the way I was already leaning. Pop OS was the first recommendation from InterServer, whatever this is. NVIDIA drivers handled cleanly. Okay,
What does cleanly even mean?
drive me,
Honestly.
Daddy.
Oh, hey, oh.
What, you guys started without
Oh
me?
my god, it's Luke.
My side of this challenge probably won't be quite as bad as Linus's, since I've been using Arch on my laptop for a while now, by the way, and I've gotten pretty comfortable with it. That being said, my use case on my laptop is fairly limited, so this is an expansion forward. I'm in, and I'm going with Cachy OS. The whole reason why I've been running Arch on my laptop was to try to demystify and defang the scary experience of Linux for some people, because I wanted to show, like, look, I'm gonna put very little effort into this, to be completely honest, and I expect it's mostly gonna go okay. But the reason for that was because my experience was limited mostly to a browser. So I kind of want to continue the Arch experiments, but in a way that the community is mostly flagging right now as better for gaming, which is going the Cachy direction. I still love Linux Mint, still use it in a couple spots here.
Well, I
and
do
there,
think that
just 'cause I find it-
the whole situation with like Cachy being better for gaming, it's not really that deep when people say it's actually a lot better than other distros. Like maybe it's better than a vanilla distro. So if you just installed normal Arch Linux and played games and you compared it to Cachy, yes, it would be better. It has those kernel modifications and those kernel architecture compilations for certain CPUs, which does speed up things a little bit. And then on top of that, it has the ANSI CPP daemon that is basically changes the way the process of your system to basically change the niceness level to a higher priority so that that game, which is chosen off a list, so if you launch a game and that process name is in that list, the ANSI will basically change the scheduling of the scheduler to make that priority higher. And so it changes it by about I think it's -5 or -6, which is extremely a lot more higher. It's not the maximum, but it's basically really good. So the priority of the game is going to be perfect, basically the best that it can be with the hardware, so that every frame is basically focused when it comes to processing it through your hardware, and so other processors can't get in the way. So if you compared it with vanilla Arch, which doesn't have any of that, it just has the normal scheduler, everything's set at the default, which means every process is just 0 basically, so any process can take over the system, while on Cachy, that's not the case. So that's why Cachy could be better, but there's other distros like Nabara, Picker OS that do the same thing, and they offer a great performance benefit over vanilla distros. But I digress. Cachy is a good distro, and I am using it right now. I'm just trying to state, basically like level the ground field here that not every distro is bad, and Cachy is the only good distro. There is other distros that people use that are gaming-focused distros, and they do basically the same thing as what Cachy does. Nabara even uses the Cachy kernel for now, until they switch to the OGC kernel, which is the Open Gaming Collective organization. But let's continue.
It's so like easy to get set up and going. And I know there were some comments under last challenge about my choice of Linux Mint. I'm like, oh, it's not as updated as other things, or blah, 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 because the Linux community loves to just scream about stuff all the time. I wouldn't dissuade you.
They're screaming at the right thing though. Linux Mint is a LTS distro, and I think a lot of people need to understand what LTS means, which is long-term service, which means you have upgrades every 2 years, and that means that your packages, basically the most important parts are the kernel and the graphics drivers, which is Mesa or the NVIDIA proprietary drivers. These packages are way out of date by about, right now it'd be like a year and a half, I would say, and the kernel gets upgraded, I think, every 6 months with a HWE enablement, so hardware enablement improvements that get backported from the main kernel, which is the kernel that like Cachy is using right now. So like some of those patches will get brought down, but in general, Linux Mint is not up to date compared to something like Cachy or Bazzite or Nubara or Fedora or OpenSUSE or Tumbleweed. If you expect to be able to play the latest AAA games on your AMD or Intel hardware, like you have an Intel Arc GPU or an AMD GPU, do not expect your games to work on Linux Mint, really. Some will work, but you may experience problems where you'll need a newer driver, like a newer Mesa. You'll need a newer kernel if you want, like your Wi-Fi drivers, for example. It showed a lot of comments of that as well. It's really important to, like I said in my video, when I said to, which distro to pick, you really need to focus on the hardware and the peripherals that you have. And if it's hardware that you bought like last month, that hardware came out last month, it is very likely that Linux Mint is not going to be the choice because it will not have their patches or the drivers to make that hardware work necessarily. So picking something like Cachy or Bazzite or any upstream distro is a really good choice for that new hardware. Now, if you have hardware that's 6 years old or something, you probably can pick Linux Mint, and you might have an okay time or a great time and have no problems at all. But let's continue.
You from choosing it. I'm just kind of doing an experiment thing with Arch and enjoying it right now. So I'm going to continue on to Cachy OS, and hopefully it goes fine.
It is 8:03, and I am just about to start my Bazzite installation. Here we go. Insert. Oh wait, crap, I gotta put the SSD in. But hey, you guys like my new server rack? Ah, it's pretty cool.
That's right.
Linus made fun of me saying I'd never see it again in the server rack case. Now, some of you might actually ask why I'm ripping out both of my drives in my computer, when Windows is probably only installed on one. Well, one thing I won't miss about Windows is there's this really weird bug. Sometimes when you rip out one drive, after you've installed it with 2 in it, it will show up in the boot option in the BIOS, but it will just fail to boot. I don't know how that is still a bug on Windows 11, but hey, I won't have to deal with that.
Interesting problem.
Hopefully.
That I have never met with Windows, but
drive ready to go. But I ran into a problem. My motherboard.
You can experience problems on Linux as well.
Here, and M.2 slot here, here, and here. But I didn't build my system. I don't know where my current drive is installed. It should be installed here, but it was built by Linus's kid, so I have no idea. And my problem is, that's my system. This is the Bulbasaur PC, right? Getting to the M.2 behind this GPU is going to be insane. Doing that without completely destroying my computer is not really possible. So hopefully I can remove this one little strip, and there's no drive there, and everything will be fine. But if there is a drive there, I'm screwed.
For no reason other than that I'm a sucker for punishment, I've decided to do my upgrade to Pop OS here at Whale Land.
Oh no.
Unplug my boot drive.
That's going to go so well. Through the install process should be fine.
Boot, and then hopefully this is going to be completely painless and I'll be gaming in like 15 minutes. And we're off to a great start. Select your drive, can't see it. Well, I put it in a known good slot. Turns out the drive is bad. Why are these challenges always cursed?
Downside of a multi-monitor setup, this is my primary monitor, so we're trying to boot into the BIOS right now. So we're gonna go into Fedora. Verifying shim sbait date failed. Something has gone seriously wrong. I've done nothing. Okay, I think I saw something related to secure boot. It is enabled. I'm gonna try disabling it.
Does he already has Fedora installed?
Version, workstation, it's end of life date.
Okay, yeah, that's the other Fedora installed.
Bazzite's website today. That's a scary warning. So I did take this drive from the office. I wonder if that's why it's showing up as LTT. Maybe I did happen to grab a drive from work that had Fedora
on it. Yeah.
I won't mark that against Bazzite then. That was 100% on me. Okay, we're booting up again. Hey, there we go. Okay, Bazzite. Yes, we want to go into live ISO just so I can do the install. Hey, there you go, little Bazzite logo. Oh, this monitor lit up. Hey, there we go. Welcome to the live ISO for Bazite. How would you like to install? Oh yeah, so the drive I did grab had Fedora on it. I wonder if this was the drive I used in the Linus Torvalds video. Erase data and install. I will say, I think the default background's really pretty. I might actually keep that. Kind of matches the keyboard colors, you know? While I'm waiting for an install, I might as well do a merch plug. LTGstore.com. Oh god, I punched my other camera. LTGstore.com.
All right, no drive under there. You can see an empty slot. They didn't decorate over the screws. Linus's kids. Gamer time. Welcome to Cachy OS. I used Rufus to flash my drive. I got the M.2 installed, and now we're here. So far, the hardest part was getting it to boot to the flash drive. I've been super interested in trying Hyperland, but I think I'm going to keep that for maybe something on my laptop or something that I'm more
but on a laptop,
happy to just play with. And try to keep pretty much everything the same as what I'm used to, except for Cachy OS, and just see how it goes. You know what? Calling an audible. Let's give it a shot. Lemonade, or how I first read it with my broken brain is Lamline. Sounds cool. Looks cool. Gonna go with Rub. I'm just used to it. We're in. Everything seems okay so far.
He's using cinnamon. Interesting choice.
Install.
All right, now that I have a working drive, this
Did he have multi-monitors?
Set up encryption right out of the gate.
That might be a problem.
You'll love to see it. Pretty painless setup so far.
But I don't know if you'll notice the problem though.
This looks fine. Ooh. We're in.
Yeah,
now I gotta play games.
Oh, hey, there you go. Is a secure boot key added? Okay, well, let's do a reboot. I assume I just leave it on Fedora. What the frackle is this? Do I do the secure boot thing?
Enroll it.
Try again. Error. You need to load the kernel first. Okay, maybe I should read the documentation. That's the error I was getting, so we're gonna use method B. Disable secure boot in the BIOS before proceeding and then re-enable it after enrolling the key. I have to enter a command in the host terminal? Oh, did I mess this up? You know what? I'm gonna try reinstalling it with secure boot enabled this time. And
definitely not a pain to do so.
That takes, it takes so long.
That's sarcasm.
Okay, well let's try reinstalling Bazite from the beginning with secure boot on this time, and we'll see if something's different. All right, I've reinstalled it. Documentation says to reboot, enroll the keys. Yes. Just universal blue. I think I enabled it. Hey, there you go. I feel like I just went in a circle, but we'll let it cook. Hey, we're in. Okay, it did detect all three. I kind of have a weird one that's off to the side here, so I can like monitor chat when I do other stuff. Oh, okay.
My Steam.
Not right now, Steam. That's kind of cool. I got Steam pre-installed. That'll be nice. Maybe I'll get a game up and running like real quick.
All right, here comes the point where we tripped up last time. Well, that was painless. I'm almost there, but before I can game with this man, I'm gonna need voice chat. So we're getting Discord going. I already got Left 4 Dead 2 installed. Already there's some slightly icky things. I have Discord working, which is super cool.
Yeah, Cosmic.
Really?
Yeah, that problem is a Cosmic issue with how they deal with application shortcuts, I'm pretty sure. It's a common thing. You'll see some apps do it, like I know Fugus Launcher does it on the Cosmic desktop, and depending if it's a Flatpak or a system, Cosmic may show that icon, basically a dummy icon, and make like an extra shortcut. So you may experience that problem on the Cosmic desktop. It doesn't happen on GNOME, doesn't happen on KD Plasma very often, only if the application may not support Wayland properly with their app icon, and so it will create a Wayland icon, but that doesn't really happen that often really anymore. Most applications support the Wayland app icon stuff properly, so yeah, that's just a Cosmic issue. But let's continue.
I have Discord working, which is super cool. Really? All right, I'm ready to launch the game.
He really doesn't like that dummy icon.
What is this?
Action timing?
What is this? The Linux curse might be coming for me. Wait, it magically healed itself. Magically healed itself. Well, this is messed up. I've got my Discord volume at 200%.
Probably has updates in the background, I bet.
User volume at 170%.
And it's like applying it, and that's why he's experiencing those problems.
And I can barely hear anybody. No, it's not you guys, it's me.
That's alright.
I'm just experiencing Linux.
I wonder what that is.
But hey,
is the headset volume on max?
I could be that guy at a LAN who's not running his game at full screen.
Something like that.
All right, just rebooted and no game volume whatsoever. What about like a YouTube video? Okay, Okay, that's loud. That's loud. That's a good sign. That is so bizarre. Okay, let's see if Discord is solved. If Discord's solved, we're good. And then Discord maybe just magically healed itself. What's up, gamers? Oh, we're good.
So did your audio just require a restart?
It's complicated. My system was set to like spit if out, so obviously that was why I was getting no audio in game.
The audio
But that doesn't
wasn't
explain why I was
selected.
getting
Okay.
extremely low audio in Discord.
Yeah, that's strange.
Well, that's
Is
another,
that problem of, like, why
probably
is
another
this working?
cosmic thing
Why is
where it
this
doesn't
working?
automatically select the right one,
Why
maybe?
isn't it working? Then why is it working?
Something like that.
Oh, whoa, why did that change it? Do you see that? Since I have a dual PC set up in my server rack, this is my streaming PC that records.
I love that
I
it
was
just
actually getting
baited the
ready to
viewer to keep
record,
watching.
And it's not
Coming
quite
up,
scaled
something
correctly.
bad
You can see
happens.
I'm missing like half my
Come on.
taskbar. That was not a scaling thing. This monitor is not 4K, so I'm a little confused on why it's showing
Are you
4K
sure?
as an option. I do normally set to 120 hertz though. Well, it made everything. Oh, whoa, why did that change it? Do you see that? It's scaled properly, but you know what scaled it properly is adjusting the frame rate. If I go to 140 on my OBS capture, it's not scaled right.
HDMI
But
problem?
if I change it to 120
Is he using HDMI?
and apply
I see
it,
HDMI.
now it's scaled.
Is he running AMD
appropriately.
hardware?
Like my scaling is the same, my resolution's the same. Now that I've got these displays configured, Steam
Well, I'd have to say that that's probably a HDMI issue, and if he's running AMD, then it's 100% probably a HDMI problem, because HDMI 2.1 isn't supported on AMD hardware yet, though probably still not going to happen because originally HDMI blocked the patches that AMD tried to implement for HDMI 2.1. And so you're stuck on 2.0, and that has some problems with some bandwidth issues as well that are fixed in the upstream kernel that probably isn't out yet. I'm pretty sure it's in kernel 7.0, and kernel 7.0 is not out yet. So that's probably a combination of that, and HDMI 2.1 not being available is probably why maybe something like that is occurring. It's not doing the right refresh rate, and so it's causing a weird problem when he sets it to a higher one, so he has to set it lower so that it does it correctly. Just a common problem on Linux with AMD cards. If you want to use HDMI 2.1 features, it's not going to happen, at least for right now.
looked like it was already installing, so let's double check that. Dude, are we gonna get a game going like that? I know it's not compatible. I'm still gonna download it because I want to try it. I won't blame any Bazite or Linux for it not working, but it's one of my go-to games right now. I need to test if PUBG is gonna work. Do I need to enable the Proton compatibility later? Hey, it's enabled right away. Oh yeah, look, it like installed it right here. I guess while that's installing, maybe I can get some other apps going here. Discord. Hey, there it is. Oh, Discord is high risk. This app uses legacy X11 windowing system, which allows it to record all keystrokes, captures. It also has access to the internet, meaning it could send your data.
Technically, it is correct, but you are using a desktop environment that uses Wayland as the session, not X11 anymore. And Discord does run under X Wayland, which is running under X11. It's just being translated. But even so, the default permissions on KD Plasma, I'm pretty sure they are strict with the legacy X11 app support. So even so, it can't see everything that you're doing because you can see here, at least for me, I have it set to where X11 applications can only see as above, plus any key pressed while the Control, Alt, or Meta key is also pressed. Moderate security, all global shortcuts will work in X11 apps. So only the shortcuts will work basically in X-Wayland applications so that I can do shortcuts, but everything else is not allowed. So he can't see anything else, and he is also running a Wayland session. So it is good though that this does appear though, so that people are aware of what they're installing.
Data to outside parties. Ooh, this is very timely. Well, I need Discord, so I'm installing it. That warning, as scary as it probably seems to a lot of people, I think it is kind of a cool thing that they're letting you know that it might be risky. So if you're a non-experienced user going to download something, it could give you a heads up,
even
like,
though
whoa,
it's
whoa,
a
whoa,
bit
just so you're
extreme.
aware. For Discord, we already know they're stealing all our data anyways. I don't know. Whoa, you can download Edge? Holy cow, you gotta be a psychopath. High risk.
It's very weird that Microsoft brought it over.
Let's go through audio while everything's installing really quick.
I think
It's
the
showing-
reason Edge was brought over was because the Microsoft developers are using Linux for development, so they needed Microsoft Edge, I guess, for some of the things they wanted to do that were only available in Edge, is I think what happened. It was many years ago. But anyways, let's continue.
Up is huge. I hear the mic is going
Actually,
directly
full screen
to
this
the
time.
Rodecaster, and the Rodecaster should just pass out. Hey, it's being detected. Wow, that was really fast. Really? I'm gonna call my wife really quick. Hello, hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
I didn't have to configure anything. That's a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, but hey, the
can
fact that I didn't have to
thank-
troubleshoot it makes me...
You can thank pipe wire and wire plumber and pipe wire pulse as well for getting audio working properly on Linux, as most audio stuff just works on Linux, basically. I'm running a Focusrite 2i2 Gen 4 right now on this microphone, and it works with a wireless Rogue Zeus Pelter headset, and it works perfectly fine, and the microphone also works on the headset perfectly fine. Audio on Linux today is basically pretty good, I would say. The only problem really is when recording videos on microphones, sometimes it will do a kind of like a staticky cut sound. If you've watched any Linux YouTubers, you may notice that sometimes. That problem is basically, I think it's either a distro problem, so it's not set up correctly for really like low latency microphones that need the best latency possible, and so something goes wrong there, or it's something else that isn't to do with the distro, like it's a pipewire issue, or it's an OBS Studio problem. So that's really the only problem with audio on Linux today. Everything else is pretty damn good, unless a headset or a microphone or an audio interface needs a specific driver. If your audio interface is USB class compliant, then it will just work straight out of the box on Linux basically, and you shouldn't have any major problems.
Be very happy.
Just installed it, instantly installed OBS. I had to restart my Rodecaster, but then it worked immediately. We'll see if the audio is fine. Seems like the audio was fine. Off to bigger and better things. So I'm gonna get Teams installed here because I need to do a work call. Well, the Teams call went fine, sort of. The Teams is still a very annoying experience on Linux, regardless of what Linux flavor you go with. There's no official app. I was using the Teams for Linux open source community thing. It's like fine. There's some kludginess here and there. It seems like most of the community agrees that the best way to do it these days is to just run it through the browser entirely, which I really don't prefer, but I'm going to keep running with Teams for Linux and see if I can get it working in a state that I would like. I would say with the like install it real quick, sign in, and it works perfectly.
It's something that Teamspeak has to
At
support.
least they're doing it. Not like Microsoft supporting
Linux.
it. So
The community has tried their best to support Teamspeak as a desktop application, but it's probably just a wrapper with Electron, if I had to guess, and that's basically it. And they probably brought maybe some extra features over that the browser one can't offer to you, but yeah, it's literally up to Microsoft, who owns Teamspeak. They will have to port that over to Linux natively, but until then, it probably is best to just use the browser version, in my opinion, instead of something that is like a bit unofficial that may have a lot more problems, especially when you're trying to do work calls and stuff like that. That's really important. So probably should be just using the browser version.
I appreciate the effort. Another thing that I would say is that gaming has been perfectly fine so far. Obviously, the Spire is working no problem. Gaming so far going okay. No major hiccups with anything as of right now, but I'll let you know if things change.
Well, Control-Alt-Delete doesn't do anything. Alt-Tab allows me to switch to things, but my mouse is not there. Like I'm hearing like like in my ears. This is so awesome. I managed to play a game for 20 seconds. I must just be cursed.
No, you're not cursed.
I have to be cursed.
You're
at this
not,
point.
Linus.
Okay, I managed to find this.
I swear.
I'm gonna try to end the process. Half-Life 2, I think. Is this? Hello?
Not really it's not your
Is
fault.
that not gonna work? That's not
I think that's a common thing though, when new people come over to Linux and they pick, a distro, and then they pick a desktop environment or a tiling manager, especially tiling managers, and they have a lot of weird problems, and then they instantly go, I'm the problem. A lot of times they think it's their problem that they have to resolve because of the Linux mindset that when you install Linux, it's up to you to solve problems, but it's entirely not. When it comes to what Linus is experiencing right here, is purely just the cosmic desktop experience right now for gaming. It is not ready for gaming. I can show a perfect example because I maintain a big issue with Cosmic right now that is to do with gaming. It's games and launchers that don't work as intended and do work as intended. And last time I tested it was 6th of Feb. It is, the third month now of the year, so I do need to retest it. But we can see here of a list of games that do and don't work and what problems they have. And you can see that there's a lot of games that don't work, and it's only the games that I personally own and then other people have tested. I've added them to the list with whatever problem they're having. And then also gaming launchers, which they have their own problem where it creates its own window, which is the applet icon that needs to go into the bottom right of the desktop. It doesn't do that because Cosmic doesn't support it properly yet with the Wine applet app icons. And then Steam VR doesn't work as well. And there's just a long thread of people posting issues and the developers talking, and the developers have marked this for ePorts 2. So it's not Linus's problem that this is happening. He is not cursed. He just decided to choose something that wasn't ready. Now, to his credit, as he'll show more issues, the System 76 team, I think, need to state on their website, on the Cosmic or Pop! OS page, that gaming on it is not ready. It simply isn't. And this is a great example of showing all of its problems and other problems and other features that are not there. It needs to be stated clearly on their website that it's not ready for that, because many people are going to pick Pop! OS because Pop! OS used to be a good pick when they were using GNOME and it was rather up to date, and even I used it and I absolutely enjoyed it. I love the tiling extension thing and all that. I used it for many years before I went to Fedora because it started to lag behind because System 76 was working on the Cosmic desktop and all of the other things they were working on. So they really need to state, because if we go to Pop! OS's website, right, and we scroll through their website, it shows off the Cosmic desktop. And look, Cosmic desktop is great. I think it's a future desktop for, something that's in between GNOME and KDE Plasma, and you can customize it as much as you want, and there's amazing theming support, and there's going to be more features coming to it that is going to make it 100% better. I think it's, down here. So it says additional features. Gaming. Access your Steam library from a system where games shine. Play your favorites with ease. No fussing with drivers. Yes, no fussing with drivers, sure. Play with your favorites with ease? No. It's simply not ready, and it needs to be changed so that people know that it's not ready for that. Because even the System 76 developers have said they are redoing their Vulkan renderer to implement proper support for things like HDR, and then they're going to improve their Wayland compositor to better support, which is Smithy, I'm pretty sure, or Smith A, to support gaming better. It's just not ready, and as we'll see as we continue with the video, Linus is going to experience a lot of problems that have to do with the Cosmic desktop, but that do not happen on KDE Plasma or GNOME.
Can I do anything? Yeah, I have 7 people waiting for me because I'm a special Linux snowflake right now. I don't understand why trying to do the most basicest of things, launch a Valve game on a fresh install, manages to be like this. I'm even on AMD, guys. I'm on AMD. I'm going back to Windows.
That's not the problem.
It's not acceptable. I have to be able to play the game right now.
Sure.
Okay, the last thing now, I think I'm just gonna game. Ooh. It's got a borked rating. As of 2 weeks ago, someone said it's borked. So,
and it says unsupported
yikes.
by
I
Valve.
won't blame any Bazite or Linux for it not working. Judging by how long it's taking, that's not a good sign. A month without
It does
PUBG.
launch, it just sits in the background and then it stops.
Okay, let's launch Balatro.
So,
hey, there we go.
Nice.
All right, we finished the round. It's the next day, and I'm gonna see if I can figure out what the heck was going on there. Off to a great start.
That's another bug that I...
All right, I'm just playing.
That's a good bug. I can trigger that bug on Cosmic all day. And I'm pretty sure I reported it or someone else reported it on the Cosmic GitHub, and the developers know about it. All it is just an X-Wayland problem with their Wayland compositor, with how it translates the application. It just has some random problems where Steam likes to do a black screen and you need to minimize it and then maximize it, basically bring it back up, hide it or bring it back up, and then it fixes the problem until it happens again. It is an annoying problem, but again, it's to do with Cosmic. It's not to do with any other major desktop environment like KDE Plasma or GNOME. Let's continue.
Off to a great start. Alright, I'm just playing single player now. Let's see how this goes. Alright, this is how far I made it last time.
Now you are playing with power.
Nice.
Try running it in Vulkan. Unfortunately, there's no in-game setting for it, but apparently this will do the trick.
Like you gotta break through this wall.
And there it is. That was the fix.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a Cosmic problem or if that was a gaming issue, but PopOS is, like I said, it is a bit behind on drivers with its Mesa, and I think a lot of these tech YouTubers need to understand how Linux works when it comes to its drivers, because it's not like Windows where you get Windows and then you install the AMD driver. You get Linux and you get the driver that is there, and it's up to the distro to update that driver. Now, you can replace it with a Nulla one if you want to. A lot of new users probably don't want to open up the terminal to enter some random commands to install a newer Mesa driver. But again, I can't repeat this enough. You want the best gaming experience, pick a distro that is upstream. PopOS is not an upstream distro, really. Yes, they may update their kernel and their Mesa and their NVIDIA drivers pretty quickly. It is not up to par when it comes to other distros though, because simply put, they're on a Ubuntu base that is far behind. I'm pretty sure it's 2404 LTS. They could be upgrading to a newer one soon, but I'm pretty sure it's that version, and that doesn't have necessarily the newest Mesa. I'm pretty sure I run PopOS on my laptop with Cosmic, and if I remember, I think it was Mesa 25.0. I think was the latest one. I'm gonna have to check that. So I just checked on my laptop and it is running Mesa 25.2.8 currently. So when it comes to on my main machine with Cachy, I'm running Mesa 26.0, and the jump between Mesa 25.2.8 to Mesa 26.0, there is a lot of changes for improvements when it comes to AMD drivers, Intel drivers, NVIDIA drivers as well with NVK. Because you gotta remember, Mesa is a collection of drivers. It's not just a driver, it's a collection. It's got RADV, which is the AMD Vulkan driver, which is what is being used to play games on Linux. And then you got like NVK for NVIDIA if you're using the full open source stack. You really need to pick a distro that is upstream based, I would say, if you want to have a good gaming experience. There is plenty of game patches that always come into Mesa, and most of them, they do get downstreamed, but again, you pick a distro that is LTS based, that doesn't get many updates, you're not going to get those downstream patches anytime soon. You're going to be waiting a lot longer to get them.
Not complicated, but definitely frustrating when you consider that this is a first-party Valve title and the bugginess is so immediately apparent when you try to play the game. And there's also
half of it's
been an
something to
issue
do with
since
Valve.
at least July of last year. To be clear, none of this is meant to discount the experiences that other people have. It's just to also acknowledge that not everybody has such a seamless experience. With Left 4 Dead solved, our next challenge is going to be Helldivers 2.
If you did some research on the Cosmic desktop with gaming, you know, like even I made a video about is Cosmic ready for gaming, and I said no, it's not.
Oh, whoa, check this out.
You know?
Why am I cursed like this? Opening cinematic played okay, and this looks promising other than the weird white line that
That's
I have.
a common problem with Helldivers. I don't even know what necessarily causes that. I'm pretty sure it's just the game engine and how it's translated to Proton when you run it in borderless. It just shows up with those white lines. It happens in both X-Wayland or Wine-Wayland, and it happens on KDE Plasma, it happens on GNOME. That's like common theme. It's just a white line that appears around. It's not that big of an issue, and you can run it in full screen and the issue will be resolved. That's not to do with Cosmic. That's just the Helldivers thing.
It's supposed to do something.
Hold on, here's an idea. Okay, so look up, we can rebind that. Let's go left click. Okay. Hey, controller works. I guess I'm gaming on a controller, boys.
So I'm going to install Dolphin. Oh, wait. Dolphin's the name of their, like, the file manager, right?
It is, yeah.
Speaking of files, I should try to mount my network share. So network, shared folders, SMB. Oh, dude, is it going to find it for
It
me?
will.
Whoa! It found it for me. Hell yeah. Add. Can I pin them to the side? Oh, I can. Oh, that's kind of nice. That was really easy to mount my network share. And these are
Let's say here. So with this, I will explain in part 2 or maybe the conclusion, but at the time I wasn't aware that was not mounting the network share. It made it a shortcut to the side. It came back to bite me the next day. Interesting. That's interesting. Because for me, I have a mounted, my server, which is SFTP, is mounted as a on the side of here, and to add these you just right click and go add to places. So I think that is what you're meant to do, not to slide and drop, even though I've never done slide and drop. I've always done right click add to places, and then it adds it properly to the actual sidebar. So maybe that's not the same with drag and dropping it. Instead it creates like some type of shortcut. So we'll see in part 2 what problem actually occurs.
SMB set as default app. Hey, there you go. Hey, I set VLC as a default app. I'm feeling pretty decent right now. I have my audio working. I have a game running. I have my SMB share mounted. The most painful roadblock was by far like getting it to this point. A quick recap on what happened with the secure boot thing was I turned secure boot off because I thought that's what it needed when the Fedora drive that I accidentally grabbed from work was asking for it. Then when I installed Bazite, it was, hey, turn secure boot on. I don't have it on, I have your key. But after I installed it, I think I might have gotten a little bit confused or chose the wrong thing when it asks me to enroll it. I needed to make sure that secure boot was on first. And now that it was on when I installed it, it was pretty painless. I do think it's a little weird that they still wanted me to type universal blue when I was enabling the keys. I'm not really sure why. I do wonder how much it'll help me in the future if there's a software
That's just the
or a
password
game
to
that
enroll.
requires secure boot. I wonder if Linus is gonna have as smooth of a time or if his is gonna be a little bit worse.
Well, this is remarkable. I'm up to 3 Steam windows now. Nope, can't type. After I figured out the control issues, we did manage to get through the entire Helldivers mission with no further complications. So while I wouldn't call today a success, it also wasn't a complete failure, and I think I'm ready to do a little bit more Googling, learn a bit more, figure out what the heck is going on with my Steam interface here. Now, it is worth noting that while I am obviously showing a lot of the problems I'm having today, I'm not trying to make Linux look bad or anything, and there were aspects of the experience that were much better. For instance, setting up Pop! OS involved none of my data being given away. And maybe more importantly, if you don't like futzing about with things, is I had to do nothing to get all of my various devices working. No going to the manufacturer's website, downloading drivers, none of that nonsense.
True.
The convenience of the Cosmic Store and it being something I might actually...
I would say though that he's saying that it's not always like that. There is particular hardware that isn't in the kernel when it comes to drivers, and sometimes your hardware just simply won't work, and you'll need an out-of-tree kernel driver using something like a DKMS to install it onto the kernel that you're using. And that usually requires like, oh, you need these dependencies, and then you need to git clone the repo, and then you need to compile it, and then you need to install it as with DKMS. That's usually what's going to happen if your peripherals or whatever isn't supported properly. And usually the case is you either have to wait for that driver to be upstreamed into the kernel directly, so then it works out of the box, or you need to use a distro like Nabara or Bazite that include those drivers out of the box. That's the good thing about those distros. If you're a newbie and you do not want to muck around with drivers, you should just be installing Nabara, Bazite, or PKOS because they have those extra drivers that solve a lot of controller issue problems, that may solve certain hardware, specifically with handheld as well, improving that, just making your life a lot more just easier. But yes, your experience can be the opposite, which is like with me, for example. I have zero problems. All my hardware and peripherals work. My audio interface works. My microphone works. My wireless headset works. My Stream Deck, Elgato Stream Deck works properly. My triple monitor setup works properly. KD Plasma basically works properly. And if I do have a bug, I do know where to report it. Where others that are new to Linux may not, and that requires a bit of learning. As always, Linux is not Windows and Windows is not Linux. It's a different OS. You need to learn new things when you go into it.
Actually want to use, unlike the Windows Store. Pretty nice. And so far, I've got to give it credit for being pretty darn intuitive, other than maybe the pressing the power button to reach my settings. That has like...
I see the settings icon down here. It's literally right next to the store and it's preloaded on that bar. It's right there. I see it.
Windows 95,
okay.
You press start to shut down kind of energy. With all that said, I'm excited about the next month, and I hope you guys are excited to come along with us. And excited to hear about our sponsor, Meter. As
another
your
sponsor
grows and branches out around the world, you'll need a network that can scale with your operations, juggling different
let's skip this.
wireless networks. They
Don't
even
know about Meter.
warehouses.
You already showed me at the start.
Demo today. That's meter.com/LTT to book a demo. If you guys enjoyed this video, why not check out the first episode of the last
The first one 4 years ago. Oof.
Some stuff is kind of the same, in that I seem to be cursed, but other stuff is different. I did get Pop! OS installed this time. How are we framed? Is it? It doesn't look straight. I mean, that's probably the straightest thing about what's going on right now, though.
There you go.
Are you going to eat in the box? What are you doing? Panini? Were you in the shot the whole time? Panini? The Honkers Railway? Oh, it's a Tonkai Star Rail.
Okay. Well, that's basically the end of this video. We're going to have to wait for part 2 to come out to see how, more problems appear and, seeing if they can resolve them and all that. But my conclusion with part 1 of this is that, good job for Elijah and Luke, both having basically a perfectly fine time on Linux, not really experiencing major problems, just little things that are maybe just little annoyances of something they maybe don't understand fully. Luke at least understanding a lot more about Linux because he's been using Arch Linux and he knows about the Teamspeak issue where Teamspeak isn't supported on Linux natively, so he has to use one that is, maintained by the Linux community. But yeah, Linus choosing Pop! OS and the Cosmic Desktop, just interesting, to say the least. But in the end, I think that at some point, Linus will get it right. He'll pick a distro and a desktop environment that works properly, or he'll continue to pick Pop! OS until the Cosmic Desktop is ready and all of those problems that he's having with gaming just disappear, which they will, because the Cosmic Desktop is continuously improving. They release every week a new release with bug fixes, and then every couple of months they release actually big changes that improve the desktop as a whole, as they continue to iterate on improving it. So if you guys did enjoy this video, definitely give it a like, definitely subscribe to the channel, and thank you to my supporters. I'll show a text across the screen. Thank you for me money every single damn month. I really do freaking appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.